Hello, everyone. Good evening, and welcome to a new session. I hope all of you are doing great. Yes, yes, it's a new week, and we will be bringing to you new sessions. All right, so welcome. Yes, good evening. Hi, good evening, and welcome. So, in this week, we will be revising for NET. Okay, so in this week, we will be revising for the upcoming NET exam. All right. So I hope all of you have had a great GSET exam, right? So now we have to prepare for the upcoming exams as well. And we will also revise for other exams like RPSC, West Bengal set, Telangana set. But in this week, we have decided that let's revise for the NET exam. Okay, right, great. So welcome. Good evening. Yes, and welcome to a new session. So if you're new to our channel, then please do subscribe. And if you're watching the video right now, then please do like this session. Okay. On that note, let's get started with the session tonight. I believe the screen is visible to you all. Yes. The screen is clearly visible. Okay. Right. Now, let me welcome you all again to Vallath NET session number 17. This is our 17th NET session. Okay, in case you missed the previous sessions of NET revision, you can just go to the live section of our channel and there you will find all the previous videos of NET. Okay, right. So let's go. Let's move on to the first question for tonight. Does Spec Shurpanakha, so said Shakuni, is a play by Dash that reinterprets characters from the Ramayana and Mahabharata through a modern lens. The play features a modern day conversation between two mythological figures who are present as victims of misunderstanding, who are retelling their stories with new perspectives on their roles as a female and male villain, respectively. It explores the themes of gender, power dynamics, and how patriarchy can influence narratives. Does Spec Shurpanakha, so said Shakuni, two very popular mythological characters, villains, right? So who wrote this play? Does Spec Shurpanakha, so said Shakuni. Who wrote this play? It is by Poile Sengupta. This play is by Poile Sengupta. Okay. Who wrote the play Brides Are Not for Burning? Who wrote the play Brides Are Not for Burning? It's a BBC winning play. It won the prize from BBC. Brides Are Not for Burning. It is by Deena Mehta. Deena Mehta. Who wrote Sons Must Die? Sons Must Die. It is by Uma Parmeshwaran. Uma Parmeshwaran. Which modern Indian play, or which was the first modern Indian play to have homosexual themes? Which was the first modern Indian play to have homosexual themes? It was Mitrachi Goshtha. Mitrachi Goshtha. Right? Which play by Mahesh Dattani has communal tensions as its theme? Communal tensions is the theme in which play? Final Solutions. Final Solutions. Which play by Manjula Padmanabhan is about urban apathy towards domestic violence? Which play by Manjula Padmanabhan is about urban apathy towards domestic violence? Lights out. Lights out. So I talked to you about some important Indian plays. Say, for example, Evam Indrajit. It's a very important absurdist play by Badal Sarkar. Badal Sarkar. Okay, so does Spek Shurpanakha, so said Shakuni. It's a very important play by Poile Sengupta. Poile Sengupta. Okay, right. Next question. Red Oleander, Rokto Korobi, is a powerful and politically charged play by Dash, written in 1924. It stands as a poetic allegory that exposes the dehumanizing forces of industrial greed and the oppressive machinery of the modern state. This play merges lyrical beauty with fierce social criticism, marking Tagore's mature face of philosophical humanism and critique of mechanization. Oops, the playwright is mentioned. But Rokto Korobi is a major play by Tagore. Rokto Korobi is a major play by Tagore. Tagore also wrote major works like The Post Office. Remember The Post Office by Tagore? Similarly, Rokto Korobi, Red Oleander. It's a very important play by Rabindranath Tagore. Rokto Korobi, Red Oleander. It's a very important play by Rabindranath Tagore. Okay? In which play of Mahesh Dattani do we find that a trans woman dies? A trans woman dies. In which play of Mahesh Dattani? Seven circles around the fire. Seven circles around the fire. Seven circles around the fire. Which play of Mahesh Dattani talks about child abuse? A little girl is abused. She is sexually abused by a member from her family. Which play of Mahesh Dattani talks about this matter of child abuse? A little girl is sexually abused. It is 30 days in September. 30 days in September. In that play, Dattani talks about this idea. Okay, right? Okay. So Rakta Korobi by Tagore. It's a very fierce, powerful, politically charged play that exposes the dehumanizing forces of industrial greed and the oppressive machinery of the modern state. Okay, right. A 14-year-old boy, Munnu, is the protagonist in which work? A 14-year-old boy, Munnu, is the protagonist in which work? Munnu is the protagonist in Coolie. Coolie was the second published novel of Mulk Raj Anand. Coolie was the second published novel of Mulk Raj Anand. Coolie was published in 1936. Coolie was published in 1936. It was Mulk Raj Anand's second published novel. It was Mulk Raj Anand's second published novel. Coolie. Coolie, published in 1936. And here we have the 14-year-old boy Munnu as the protagonist. Munnu as the protagonist. Munnu the boy from Kashmir is a graphic novel by Munnu the boy from Kashmir is a graphic novel by whom? Tell me. Munnu the boy from Kashmir is a graphic novel by Malik Sajjad. Malik Sajjad. Kari is a graphic novel by Kari. It has lesbian themes. Kari is a graphic novel by Amruta Patil. Amruta Patil. Have you heard about the work Baby G? Baby G, published in 2005. Baby G, it's a work which recounts the coming of age and the sexual adventures of a young girl from a Brahmin family in Delhi. Baby G, it's a work by Abha Daweshwar. Baby G. It's a very important work by Abha Daveshwar. Okay, right. Dash first introduced the structural model of the psyche, comprising the id, ego, and superego, in his work The Ego and the Id, published in 1923. So, who first introduced the structural model of the psyche, comprising the id, ego, and the superego, in his work The Ego and the Id, published in 1923? Tell me, who was it who first introduced this structural model of the psyche with id, ego, and superego? And this was talked about in the book The Ego and the Id, published in 1923. So, who was it who talked about id, ego, and superego and presented the structural model of the psyche consisting of three parts: id, ego, superego? Yes, it was Sigmund Freud. Freud first introduced the structural model of the psyche comprising id, ego, superego. And this was talked about in the book The Ego and the Id, published in 1923. Freud's The Interpretation of Dreams was published in which year? Freud's The Interpretation of Dreams was published in which year? Freud's The Interpretation of Dreams was published in 1900. 1900. Which are the other major works by Freud? Beyond the Pleasure Principle, Totem and Taboo, Civilization and its Discontents. All these are major works by Freud. And Freud's The Interpretation of Dreams was published in 1900. And this book, The Ego and the Id, was published in 1923. And in this work, Freud had for the first time presented the structural model of the psyche, which, according to him, is of has three layers to it: id, ego, superego. And who talked about symbolic, imaginary, and the real? Who talked about the three phases: real, imaginary, and symbolic? Lacan. Lacan talked about real, imaginary, and symbolic. The symbolic is the realm of the structured, the ordered. It's the realm of the language. The symbolic is the realm of the language. Lacan talked about it. Jacques Lacan. Same person who talked about the mirror stage. Mirror stage. Right? Okay. So we are bringing to you our courses for exams KVS, NVS, TGT, and PGT. We already had the orientation for this course, right? You must have watched it. So we have brought this course to you, and we will be having classes for this course on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. All right. So this is the course for KVS, NVS, TGT, and PGT. Okay. And what are the course highlights? We will give you live interactive classes, self-paced video lessons, focused revision sessions, topic-wise quizzes, full-length model tests, polls for quick practice in Telegram groups, and PDF notes for easy revision. Okay, so here we have brought to you courses for exams for KVS, NVS, TGT, and PGT. Okay, many of you have already showed your interest to join these programs, right? Many of you have joined, I know, right? Yes. The classes will be on 3 days, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. And there are numbers on the screen here. See, there are numbers on the screen here. You can contact in these numbers if you have any further queries about these courses. Okay, right. Alchemy of English, the spread, functions, and models of non-native Englishes, is one of the foundational works in the field of World English by Dash. It examines how English, once a colonial language, has transformed into a global lingua franca, adapted, localized, and reimagined across different cultures and societies. So, who wrote this work, The Alchemy of English? Who wrote this work, The Alchemy of English? He also talked about the Indianization of English. The same author also talked about the Indianization of English. So, who is it who wrote The Alchemy of English? It is Braj B. Kachru. Braj B. Kachru. Who wrote Masks of Conquest? Who wrote Masks of Conquest? Gauri Vishwanathan. Gauri Vishwanathan. Who wrote The Lie of the Land? The Lie of the Land. Rajeshwari Sundar Rajan. Rajeshwari Sundar Rajan. Who wrote The Perishable Empire? Who wrote The Perishable Empire? Meenakshi Mukherjee. Meenakshi Mukherjee also wrote works like Realism and Reality, The Twice Born Fiction. Who wrote Colonial Transactions? Who wrote Colonial Transactions? Harish Trivedi. Harish Trivedi. Who wrote The Rhetoric of English in India? Who wrote The Rhetoric of English in India? It is by Sara Suleri. Sara Suleri. And The Alchemy of English is by Braj B. Kachru. The Alchemy of English is by Braj B. Kachru. Okay, right. Colonial Transactions is by Harish Trivedi. Colonial Transactions. Okay, right. Who founded the Pre-Raphaelite Brotherhood in 1848 with William Holman Hunt and John Everett Millais? Who founded PRB in 1848? Tell me. Who founded PRB? Who founded PRB? Obviously, D.G. Rossetti. D.G. Rossetti. All About H. Hatter by G.V. Desani was published in which year? All About H. Hatter by G.V. Desani was published in 1948. 1948. So Many Hungers by Bhabani Bhattacharya was published in 1947. 1947. D.G. Rossetti founded the PRB, the Pre-Raphaelite Brotherhood. House of Life is a sonnet sequence by House of Life is a sonnet sequence by D.G. Rossetti. D.G. Rossetti. Which is the magazine of PRB? Which is the magazine of PRB? The Germ. The Germ. Yes, next. I hope all of you have liked the session. Which work of Browning presents the subjective nature of truth? Which work of Browning presents the subjective nature of truth? Is it Porphyria's Lover, The Ring and the Book, Pippa Passes, Meeting at Night? Think about each of these works carefully and try to understand that which among these works of Browning presents to you that truth is subjective. It varies from person to person. Which among these works presents a singular incident from various perspectives? From various perspectives. A singular incident from various perspectives, and hence captures the fractured, subjective nature of truth. Which work is that? It is The Ring and the Book by Browning. Here, one murder incident is shown from various perspectives and hence captures the subjective nature of truth. One murder incident, various perspectives, multiple perspectives. One murder, multiple perspectives, and hence the subjective nature of truth. Truth will always be different for different people. So yes, it is The Ring and the Book by Browning. The Ring and the Book by Browning. Browning shared the same year of birth with whom? Browning shared the same year of birth with whom? Browning and Dickens were born in the same year, 1812. Browning and Dickens were born in the same year, 1812. Right, next. Margaret Hell is a character in which Victorian novel? Margaret Hell is a character in which Victorian novel? Easy. If you just know the characters well a bit, you can answer this. Margaret Hell is a character from Elizabeth Gaskell's North and South. Elizabeth Gaskell's North and South. Elizabeth Gaskell was the biographer of? Elizabeth Gaskell was the biographer of Charlotte Bronte. Charlotte Bronte. Okay, right. Which poem among the following promotes the questioning spirit of youth, even in old age, and a refusal to resign and face life passively? My Last Duchess, Dover Beach, Ulysses, Goblin Market. Which poem among the following promotes the questing spirit of youth, even in old age, and a refusal to resign and face life passively? Which among these poems is about, adventures, the adventurous nature of youth, and the refusal to face life passively? It is obviously Ulysses by Tennyson. Because in this work, Tennyson wants to farther go out for adventures. He refuses to stay at Ithaca. Right? So, Ulysses by Tennyson promotes the questing spirit of youth. He wants to go on farther quests, adventures, and gain more experiences. So, it's about the questing spirit of youth, even in old age, and the refusal to resign and face life passively. It is Tennyson's Ulysses. Okay, right. The French Revolution, a history, was written by Thomas Carlyle. This three-volume work, first published in 1837, charts the course of the French Revolution from 1789 to the height of the Reign of Terror and culminates in 1795. This work had inspired which novel of Dickens? Tell me. Thomas Carlyle's The French Revolution. This work talks about the French Revolution from 1789 till 1795. So Thomas Carlyle's work, The French Revolution, had inspired which novel of Dickens? Very easy. We all know which novel of Dickens has this French Revolution as its backdrop. We all know which novel of Dickens has this French Revolution as its backdrop. This is obviously A Tale of Two Cities. A Tale of Two Cities. It is set against the backdrop of French Revolution. And Dickens was inspired by Thomas Carlyle's work, The French Revolution. Okay? Right. Lucy Snow's unreliable narration in Villette is largely rooted in a highly conscious process of self-examination. True or false? Lucy Snow is the protagonist. Lucy Snow's unreliable narration is largely rooted in a highly conscious process of self-examination in Villette. It's by Charlotte Bronte, right? It's by Charlotte Bronte. So is it true or false? Is Lucy Snow an unreliable narrator in Villette? She is the protagonist. Yes, absolutely. It is indeed true that Lucy Snow's unreliable narration is largely rooted in a highly conscious process of self-examination in Villette. Okay? Right. Iceberg theory of dash is a writing technique where the writer omits most of the story's details, leaving only the essential surface elements visible. The submerged portion, representing the larger unstated part of the narrative, relies on the reader's intuition and knowledge to infer meaning and emotional depth. So, you all know who employed iceberg technique in his novels. Who employed iceberg technique in his novels. It's a writing technique where the writer omits most of the story's details, leaving only the essential surface elements visible. It was obviously Ernest Hemingway. Ernest Hemingway employed iceberg theory of writing. Ernest Hemingway employed iceberg theory of writing. Okay, very good. Francois de Ibonne was a pioneering French feminist, writer, and activist who indeed coined the term ecofeminism in her seminal 1974 book, Feminism or Death, True or False? Is it true that Francois de Ibonne coined the term ecofeminism in the book Feminism or Death? Tell me. Tell me. Let me also see what you all are saying on YouTube. I didn't get to check your live comments. It is true. Why are you saying false? It's absolutely true. It was Francois de Ebonne, a pioneering French feminist, writer, and activist who coined the term ecofeminism in her seminal 1974 book, Feminism or Death. It is true. Francois de Ebonne coined the term ecofeminism in her 1974 book, Feminism or Death. Feminism or Death. So who coined the term ecofeminism? Who coined the term ecofeminism? Francois de Ebonne. Francois de Ebonne. She was a pioneering French activist. She coined the term ecofeminism in her book, in her 1974 book, Feminism or Death. Feminism or Death. Okay. Okay. Lamia is a narrative poem by Dash, which first appeared in the volume Lamia, Isabella, The Eve of St. Agnes, and Other Poems, published in July 1820. Who wrote Lamia? Very easy, tell me. Who wrote Lamia? Lamia is a narrative poem by John Keats. It is by John Keats. Lamia is by John Keats. Okay. And yes, we are starting our KVS, NVS, TGT, and PGT courses. We are starting this course. You can join it. Okay. KVS, NVS, TGT, and PGT. All right? Yes. I hope you all like the session. I hope you have given a thumbs up. Yes, do like this session, please. And tomorrow also we will be revising for NET exam. Tomorrow also at 9 p.m. we will be revising for NET exam. So see you all again tomorrow at 9 at our Vallath channel. Till then, please keep studying and take care. Bye. Good night. Do like the session. And don't forget to join me again tomorrow at 9. Okay? Bye. Take care.